Hello, everyone out there in Rumble, X, and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego, and today we are going to talk some more about Eat, Pray, Love, this movie that influenced a lot of women to screw up their lives completely. It's it has contributed to the degradation of relationships, marriages, things like that, family. um, this movie came out 16 years ago, 2010, and since then, there's only been more women living like Eat, Pray, Love than there was before. See, in 2010, that was kind of a new idea that was starting to get roots. It was starting to go out, branch out, but it hadn't turned into a forest yet. It was just like a couple of trees. Okay, now it's the entire wilderness. Okay, a lot of people ask questions as to why is the marriage rate so bad today? Why is the birth rate so bad? We're not even producing enough human beings to repopulate our country. Okay, do you realize that? Like the birth rate, in order to repopulate our country, we have to have a birth rate of 2.1. 2.1. Our birth rate right now in April of 2026 is 1.8. Okay, we're not even making enough people to replace ourselves. Okay, that's how bad it is. And why is that happening? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One is birth control, which came out in the late 60s. That's one reason. Another reason is marriages have declined. People aren't getting married. Not the way they used to. Bridal shops are going out of business. There was I forgot which magazine it was, but there used to be a magazine that all they did was show wedding dresses. You know the one I'm talking about. I know they went out of business. Okay, so it's sad. It's sad. Men aren't going to college the way they used to. Okay, so they're not getting the high paying jobs, which means they are less attractive to women. Women are going to college in record numbers, but despite the fact that they're getting the jobs now that men used to get, they're not going to date a guy that makes less than them. Okay, so right there, the pool of available men that they're willing to date just got smaller. Okay, a lot smaller. Okay, one of the biggest differences between men and women, and I've seen this in my own life, is that an average man, will date an average woman. He will marry an average woman. He will love an average woman. He will make a family with an average woman. But the average woman will not take an average man. It's weird, but it's true. Women date up. Okay, they might have sex with an average man. Okay, but they won't marry one. They're not going to parade him around to their girlfriends, nothing like that. You see what I mean? They will have sex with an above average man, and they will have children with an above average man. Okay, but they can't necessarily get a commitment from an above average man, and that's the problem. Okay, that's why you always hear women talking about how men are all jerks. Men all use women. There's not one honest and loyal man available anywhere. Okay, that the reason they say that is because they're only dating that small percentage of men that they're attracted to. Okay, women are a lot more pickier who they sleep with and who they get into a relationship with than men are. Okay, so they're only talking about that small percentage of men. Well, that small percentage of men are the ones that are having all the sex. Okay, the majority of men aren't. They're not having sex. Okay, because women find them invisible or find them repulsive. Okay, so it's only a small percentage of guys that are having all the sex. Okay, so women have to compete with other women to keep that guy. All right, to get a commitment from that guy, and if a guy is like, let's say there's a guy, he's a 10, or no, let's say he's a 9. He's a 9. Okay, he's dating. His entire dating pool is 7 and 8s, and occasionally another 9, maybe once in a while a 10. Okay, but mostly his dating pool is in the 7, 8s, and 9s, like him. Maybe some 6s every once in a while. Okay, like that. Okay, that's his dating pool. Okay, which is slightly above average, right? Average is 5. Okay, so those women are all competing to get him. Okay, so if he does decide to put a ring on it, he's not going to put a ring on a 5 or a 6 or a 7 or an 8. okay, he'll probably put a ring on a 9 or a 10, maybe an 8, okay? But the rest of the women, okay, the 7s, the 6s, the 5s, okay, now we're getting into the below average, right? The 4s, the 3s, the 2s, okay, even those women, the 4s, the 3s, and the 2s, the 5s, they all believe they deserve a 9. You see what I mean? So they're also trying to compete with the 7 and the 8s because, Cosmo told them that women are beautiful at any size. You see what I mean? That's what they said in Sex and the City, right? So it must be true. That's what they say whenever they watch a streaming show, a chick streaming show. That's what they always say. Women are beautiful at any size, and you deserve the best, and you go, girl. Okay, you see what I mean? You go, you slay, queen. Okay, so these women that are 4s and 5s, they think that they can pull a 9 or a 10 because that's what happens in the TV shows. Haven't you ever watched Bridgerton? Okay, you see that big tub of whale in there that's dating like that most handsome guys on the show? Exactly, and women think that's real. They think that can happen to them too. You see what I mean? So of course, they're not going to date someone that's fat and ugly like them. No, they deserve a 9, at minimum an 8. You see what I mean? So that's the problem. Okay, men aren't having sex. Women are having sex, but they're not getting a commitment. Okay, most women are having lots of sex. They're not hurting for sex. They're hurting for commitment. Okay, and then when they do get a commitment, the women that do get a commitment with an 8 or a 9 guy, what happens? What always happens? Okay, she finds out he's cheating on her. You see what I mean? Okay, so now what's she gonna do? She gonna dump him and find another guy? Okay, another 8 or 9? She's not, because the 8 or 9s aren't typically gonna date her. Okay, she's gonna have to settle for like a 6 or a 5. Okay, or a 7 maybe. Okay, who will wife her up, whatever. She'll take him because she's heartbroken, whatever. But deep down inside, she's wishing the 9 guy came back. She's wishing she'll forgive him for the cheating and all that stuff. She just wants him back. And she looks at her her 6 or 7 husband, and she realizes, you know what? I married down. I am so above this guy. Like I know I am above him. And the truth is they're both 6s. Okay, but in her mind, a 6 for her means she's an 8. Okay. Or in her case, a 9, because she thinks she deserves the 9 guy. All right, and the husband doesn't have that because he loves her. He doesn't have the courage to tell her, no, sweetie, you're a 6 like me. Okay, he had the courage to tell her that. He's got to tell her that she's a 9. Okay, but she knows that he is definitely not a 9. Okay, and she resents him for it. She resents him for not being like the guy that she really wants, the guy that dumped her, or the guy that she dumped because he was screwing around. Okay, and then she's gonna hold that against. She's gonna hold that against her partner for not being a 9, and eventually she'll leave him. She'll have a one night stand with a 9 or something, and then she'll think, you see, this is what I deserve, and that guy's never gonna call her again. Okay, that kind of thing's gonna happen. Okay, or she'll stay stuck in a loveless marriage, in the back of her mind, always knowing that she's settled and that she could have done better, she deserved better, she's had better, but she's settled. She settled for this average dick guy, okay? Yes, he's faithful to her. Yes, he pays the bills. Yes, he takes care of her and their kids and the kids that she had with the other guy. He does all that, but none of that matters. What matters is that he just doesn't get her heart racing the way that 9 guy did, and that's his fault, okay? You see what I mean? Okay, now that's one option. The other option, okay, is that this 7 or this 6 woman, she catches her 9 boyfriend. She thinks that's her boyfriend. The truth is she doesn't realize that she's in the friend zone. Okay, she's in the friend zone. Okay, because the friend zone for women and men is completely different. The friend zone for men is you get all the benefits of having a man without having to provide sex or intimacy. Okay, that's the guy in the friend zone. A woman in the friend zone, you provide all the sex and intimacy that he wants without having to get a commitment from you, without having to be loyal to you, without having to do any of that stuff. That's a woman in the friend zone, okay? So this 7 girl doesn't realize that she's in the friend zone, okay, with the 9 guy. Or the 6 girl, she doesn't realize she's in the friend zone with the 9 guy, okay? So she's got an option here. She can leave him because he broke her trust, right? And I already told you what happens if she does that. Or she can forgive him and be willing to share him because she knows how damn hard it is to get a 9. Okay? Damn hard how it is. So she's willing to accept the fact that her 9 boyfriend is going to sleep with other women. Okay? Maybe they'll make a deal. Okay, just don't throw it in my face. Okay, or just make sure I'm not around when it happens. I don't want to walk in on you, something like that, or just make sure it's not some woman I know. I don't want it to be one of my girlfriends from yoga class or something like that. They'll make an arrangement, but that's what'll happen. Okay, in order to secure his commitment, she is going to have to allow him, okay, to indulge in sexual activities with other women. That is the only way she's going to be able to hold on to him. And there's a lot of women out there that would agree to that. Because deep down inside, although, Sex and the City and Cosmo and Bridgerton all told her that she was a 9 or a 10, okay, deep down inside, she knows she's a 6. She knows she's a 6. Okay? She knows that. And so, in order to keep her 9 boyfriend, she's going to have to let him do what he wants, or otherwise he'll find a 7 or an 8 and give her the same deal, and she'll take it. And now that 6 has lost her access to the 9. You see what I mean? That's how you get that's where you get the Hugh Hefners of the world and stuff like that. Okay, the Brad Pitts of the world. Okay, the guys, the John Mayers of the world, the guys that don't have to work for women. Okay, but yet they end up in a relationship. That's how they do it. Okay, because they know that there's women, that are desperate to be with them. Okay, and so a woman has to make compromises in order to secure his commitment. Okay, that's the truth. Okay, but like I said, okay, there's very few men that fall into that category. Very few men that fall into that category. So women are basically all fighting, like the 80% of the women are fighting for the 5% of the men. That's sad. And these are women that think they're boss bitches, that think that they're better. They don't need a man. Well, the truth is they do. They just want that guy, and they're not. Whereas men, we're a little bit more practical. That's because we don't use our feelings to make our decisions so much. We have to find a balance. Whereas women tend to go with their feelings, whatever they feel like. If this guy, she doesn't understand why, but this guy just gets her wet and gets her heart flowered and just gets her all like, oh my God, and just gets her so damn aroused and excited and all that stuff, okay? She doesn't care about the fact that she's married to a guy and she's got a family. She doesn't care. She's going to jump on this guy because it feels right. You see what I mean? Whereas a guy, same thing. He's like this woman is clearly turning him on. He's going to think, oh, damn it, I got a wife and I got 2 kids. If this woman gives me an STD, I'm going to give it to my wife. If my wife finds out about it, she will divorce me. She will take the house. She will take the kids away from me. And I'm going to have to pay her a shitload of alimony and child support. And I'm going to be living in a studio apartment. Okay, is that worth it? No, it's not. The only way I would do it is I knew 150% that I could not get caught, and there's no way for me to know that, so I ain't gonna do it. Boom, right there. Notice he still had the same desire that the other woman had. He was still completely attracted to this woman because the woman was better looking than his wife, but he had to weigh the consequence of what's gonna happen. What is going to happen? You see what I mean? That's how men are. That's how men are, okay? That's the difference, okay? This movie, Eat, Pray, Love, tells you if it feels right, then it must be right, therefore do it. Do it, regardless of the consequences. You put yourself first, okay? Not realizing that whole philosophy is narcissistic and selfish as hell. The movie doesn't even understand that. It considers this a virtue. Yes, it is important to take care of yourself, okay? But if you're in a relationship or if you're looking to be in a relationship, you have to be willing to take care of your partner as well, okay? It can't just be about your partner taking care of you. You have to contribute to the relationship as well. That is the part that this movie leaves out. She wants everything, but she expects to give nothing. You see what I mean? That's the philosophy behind this movie. Okay, I want everything, but I'm going to give nothing, okay? I'm not going to put my partner first. I'm not going to put his needs above mine. He needs to put my needs above his, because that's what I do. I put my needs above his too. You see, if both of us are putting my needs in first place, everything's fine. You see what I mean? There's not a give and take here. And in this movie, that is depicted as a positive thing, a good thing. You see what I mean? If you're going to screw someone over, because deep down inside, most of us have a conscience. Deep down inside, if you realize that you're about to hurt somebody that didn't deserve it, all you have to do is pretend to believe in God, pray about it, okay, to absolve yourself of the guilt that you're going to feel, and then just do it anyway. You see what I mean? Or you can depict the guy that you're hurting as a dumb fuck. Okay, but if you do that, that means that you married a dumb fuck for 8 years. So what does that say about you? What does that say about you? You see what I mean? It's like if you make a movie about a guy who falls in love with a stripper, marries her, is completely in love with her, then after 5 years of marriage, he finds out that she's cheating on him. Okay? She's cheating on him. And he's like, how could you do this to me? We took vows. I loved you. And now you're leaving me for this other guy. What did I do to deserve this? Why? I never cheated on you. I never hurt you. I never beat you up. And you're leaving me. You see what I mean? And never once considering, well, dude, you married a stripper, for Christ's sake. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? Don't ask me for sympathy. Dude, you're a dumb fuck. You're old enough to have known better. The problem isn't that your wife is a whore. The problem is you married a whore. And you knew it when you married her, but for some reason you thought she would be different. You see what I mean? It's his problem. It's his mistake. Okay, you see what I mean? But this movie would never do that. They would never make Liz the wrong person. She was just with the wrong guy. You see what I mean? And that goes for the other guy she started sleeping with, David. She screwed over Steven, and now she's going to screw over David. The same reason. Okay, he didn't measure up to what she wanted. You see what I mean? She does a comparison of using her relationship with David, James Franco's character, the actor, the yogi from Yonkers, because he's Hindu, right? Even though he's white. She uses the analogy of a drug dealer who was giving her this drug, and now he's like making her pay for it. He's withholding it. And now she's addicted. She's got to have it. And now she's mad at him for not giving it to her. Because he used to give her the heroin all the time. You see what I mean? So she uses that analogy when she's making a speech. Okay? That, when she first started dating David, she was still married. She wasn't divorced yet from her husband. Okay? And so the initial attraction sparked romance. The butterflies happened. She was obsessed with this guy because he's like, a good 13 years younger than her. She's 43 and he was 31. So, sorry, 12 years, whatever. Yeah, she was 43 when she filmed this movie. I don't know how old her character is, but Julia Roberts was 43 when she filmed this movie, and James Franco was 31 when he filmed this movie, okay? But in the movie, they say that he's 28, okay? But in real life, he was 31, okay? So that's where I got the idea, okay? So they don't say how old Liz is, but Julia Roberts was 43, okay? So let's say she's 40. Let's say Liz is also 43, okay? And he's playing a 28-year-old, okay? That would be 15 years. Okay, so she's 15 years older than him, but she's got the love emotions and all that kind of stuff. She wants to move in with him because she was living with her best friend, okay, Delia, the black woman, and her limp dick, bald-headed, fat, insecure, dumbass husband, beta male husband, which all men are, by the way, okay, in this movie, and in all chick flicks they are. Okay, so she was living there. Now she got tired of living there. Well, they got tired of her living there, so she moved out, moved in with her boyfriend in a shitty little apartment. Okay, because he's an actor. He's a struggling actor. Okay, and now it's not fun. It's not like great anymore. Okay, because he's not making her feel the way he did. Because now she's got divorced. She's getting divorced. Okay, so she had she has her divorce session there at the lawyer's office with her beta male limp dick husband Steven, who's also a dumbass. He has he went to law school for 1 semester, but he wants to represent himself. He's mad. He's mad at his wife for divorcing him because he did nothing wrong. Okay, other than being a dumb fuck, limp dick, beta male. He did nothing wrong. Okay, but remember, Liz married him, knowing that. She married him 8 years ago, knowing that's what he was. And she still agreed to marry him, but somehow it's his fault. The marriage didn't work out. So she's sitting there, and he, of course, is acting immature. He's telling her that I want you back. Okay, you're not fair to me. You're quitting the marriage. You didn't even tell me there was anything wrong. You're just up and left, and I still love you, and I choose you. Okay, I want to be with you. I don't want us to get divorced. I reject your petition for divorce, and blah, blah, blah. And she explained to him, look, I don't know how to be in a relationship, and neither do you. Okay? You don't even know what you want to do with your life. Okay? You're scatterbrained. Pick something and just go do that. Blah, blah, blah. I know you're going to find someone else that's going to love you the way that I never will. Okay? I believe that with all my heart. So blah, blah, blah. He's like, you're a quitter. He starts singing, you're a quitter, 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 like a little fucking kid. Like a little fucking kid. Because the reason they did that is to show you that Julia Roberts is right for divorcing him. That Julia Roberts is above him emotionally. Okay? Maturity-wise, she is above him. And he's just a little fucking kid trapped in a middle-aged man's body. Therefore, it's a good thing that she divorces him. Okay? That's what they're trying to communicate here. That's what the filmmaker, the writer, is trying to communicate here. Okay? That it's a good thing for her to divorce her husband. He didn't beat her up. He didn't cheat on her. He didn't steal from her, nothing like that. Disrespect her family, nothing like that. He didn't force her to have a kid or nothing like that. Put pressure on her to have a kid, nothing like that. For Christ's sake, she's 43 years old. Okay, well, why the fuck would he think she was going to give him a kid? Okay, so all that's going on here. Okay, and he's screaming at her. Okay, so while all this is going on, we get a flash. We get a future forward. Okay, now the divorce scene is still going to continue, but now. We're back at Delia and Andy's house. That's Liz's best friend, the black woman, and her beta male, limp dick, fat, bald-headed husband. Okay, so they're there and they're having dinner, and Liz brought her boyfriend David there, James Franco. So all four of them are sitting there and they're talking about what happened during the divorce proceedings earlier that day. Okay, so Liz is complaining about the divorce proceedings to David. She tells him, "I'm tired of faking it. I'm tired." Well, she also means she was faking her orgasms with him, okay? But she also means that she was tired of faking being in a marriage, okay? Even though she said I do and decided to marry him and all that stuff and went out with him and bought a house with him and all. Okay, anyway, she said, "I'm tired of faking it," at the dinner party, okay? And apparently Liz gave Steven everything, okay? Because Steven got immature and started screaming, "Quitter, quitter, quitter," like he was singing a song, "Quitter, quitter, 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 quitter." Okay, Liz got embarrassed and she said, "Okay, fine, it's my fault, all right?" Because originally she wanted 50-50, okay? She wanted half the house and half of all that kind of stuff. But I guess in a moment of weakness, maybe there is some hope for Liz Gilbert after all. Because I think she had a flash of guilt just for like a second. And that made her say something that she couldn't take back. Okay? Because now we're flashbacking back to the divorce proceeding. And she agrees to give Steven, her soon-to-be ex-husband, everything in the divorce. So in order for him to sign the divorce papers and get him out of her life, she agrees to give him everything. The house, everything. Now, earlier in the beginning of the movie, Liz went to Bali in Indonesia by herself, by the way, without her husband. Okay, and found this old shaman, this old medicine man, fortune teller / Zoltar fucking fortune telling machine guy who speaks really good English, despite the fact that he told her that she needs to come back and teach him English. Anyway, she read his fortune for $5 or whatever she gave him, and he gave her a little picture of Brahma or whoever the hell it is that they worship over there. Okay, and he told her of some fortunes. All right, so obviously it must be true because he has no teeth. Okay, and one of the fortunes that he told her was that she was going to lose all her money, that she would be in 2 marriages, one short and one long. But not, like I said, she was married to Steven at the time, so she didn't know. She asked him, am I in the short one right now or the long one? And he wouldn't tell her. Okay. And that she is going to come back to Indonesia for 4 months. And that when she does come back, he's going to teach her everything that he knows, like how to rip off people. Okay. Well, I think she already knows how to do that. Okay. So she believes that this is really going to happen. And that's basically the plot of the movie. How does these fortunes turn out? Okay, so now she understands that the shaman was right when he said she would lose all her money. She's losing it all in divorce. Okay, now two things I want to say about this. Number one, this movie belongs like this is a science fiction movie. Okay, there's no way in fucking hell that ever happens. Never, ever, ever in divorce in any freaking no fault divorce state like New York. Okay, or California or Texas or Illinois. Okay, most states are no fault divorce. Okay. So that means that it doesn't matter who did what to who, okay? It's not grounds for, you still are entitled to half of everything, okay? No woman ever walks out of divorce losing her shit, okay? Much less all of it. Even Roseanne didn't lose all of her money when she divorced Tom Arnold, okay? She just had to pay him a lot of money to get him to divorce her, okay? Even, what's her name? Kelly Clarkson. Even she did not lose everything she had when she divorced her husband, okay? She just had to pay him a shitload of money in order to get him to sign the divorce papers, okay? Same thing with Adele, okay? Adele had to pay her husband a shitload of money to get him to divorce her, okay? But not everything. Well, Liz decides to give Steven everything, okay? So she's walking away from this divorce broke. And there's no way in hell I believe that, okay? So right there, this movie belongs on the Sci-Fi Channel. Okay, that's one. Number two, I am going to give her props. I'm going to give her respect here, okay? Because she did the right thing. The fact that this would never happen in real life, that no woman would ever do the right thing during a divorce proceeding like this, Liz did the right thing. So my opinion of her has been elevated, okay? Now, do I believe Steven deserved everything? Hell no. But I do believe that he was a victim in this case, a victim of her selfishness. And, for those of you that know anything about AA, about Alcoholics Anonymous, there are 12 steps that people use in recovery, okay? And one of the steps, okay, step 8 is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9 is made amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, okay? So in other words, she's making amends. She's acknowledging, okay, I fucked you over. I hurt you. You didn't deserve it. You did nothing wrong. I was the one that made all the wrong decisions here. I agreed to marry you knowing that you're immature, limp dick, beta male, scatterbrain guy. Yet I married you anyway. I'm the one that talked you into buying that house last year that we live in, that we, that we both used to live in, and now you're going to live in. Okay? I wanted to marry you. I did everything, and when I felt unsatisfied, I did not tell you. And I did not even try to fix the marriage. I just wanted out. Okay? I wasn't honest with you about it, and now I'm screwing someone else. Okay? And I'm using that relationship to make me feel better about losing this one. Okay? So I feel guilty. I feel guilty for what I did to you. What I did to you was wrong. So I want to make an amends. What do I need to do to make this right? Okay? That's what we do. Okay? That's what they do in the program. All right? And she made it right. Her amends was giving him everything. Just give him everything. Here, take it all in divorce. Okay? This is her way of saying I was wrong. What I did to you was wrong. And this is my way of making it right. Okay? And I agree with that. I agree. I think she did the right thing. Okay? If she's going to start over in her life, she shouldn't start over taking his money with her. Especially when she's the one that's been lying to him, okay, and mistreating him the whole time. You see what I mean? So I give her props for that, okay? It's her way of making an amends. Okay, that's the way I looked at it, so I thought that was a good thing for her to do, okay? She did the right thing, but like I said, unfortunately, every woman who watched this movie fast forward to this part, all right? Anyway, so Liz, well, she's back at the dinner party with Delia, Andy, and David, and she tells David, he hates me now. Well, he doesn't hate you that much anymore. I mean, you gave him everything. Okay, so you gave him a golden parachute. All right, now if he had walked out of there like having to look for a studio apartment, then he would have hated you. Okay, but that didn't happen. Thank God. All right, thank God for him. Okay. So Liz says, like, he hates me now. And David says, like, he doesn't hate you. His heart is broken. Like, he's supposed to be the one with the feelings here, trying to explain emotions to her, right? To Julia friggin' Roberts, okay? The queen of emoting in a movie, all right? So Andy, the limp dick beta male, bald-headed, tall, fat husband of Delia says, no, I think he hates you, okay? Now Delia, okay, the boss bitch, tough as nails, big balled, big cocked black woman who's married to Andy. She says, okay, you fat limp dick beta male, I am never letting you out of the basement. Okay, because her disrespecting her husband is just, it's just like, it's like breathing to her. Okay, every scene she's rolling her eyes at her husband. She's talking about what a limp dick beta male he is. Okay, how stupid he is, how immature he is. How he says the wrong things. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He couldn't even wipe his own ass if she couldn't help him to do that. Okay, she's always saying that. She's always disparaging him. Okay, to Liz, always emasculating him in front of other people like David and Steven. Okay, always rolling her eyes at his comments. Okay, always insulting him. Okay, this is considered a healthy marriage in these movies. Okay, and that's not the problem that Liz has with Delia's marriage. The problem that Liz has with Delia's marriage isn't the fact that Delia disrespects her husband. That just par for the course. That's normal. Okay, that's expected. No, what the problem she has is that Delia actually decided to reproduce with this guy. Like, she actually carried a baby in her stomach for 9 months. Ew, gross. Gross. What the hell's wrong with you? Okay, that's the problem that Liz has with Delia. That she actually decided to reproduce as if her womb was as if her womb was being used for that or something, and that's wrong for a man to force a woman to do that. Your career comes first. You see what I mean? That kind of shit. All right, like I said, progressive. All right, so that's going on. Okay, so she emasculates her husband, of course. So Steven. So then now we fast forward back to Steven in the law firm. Okay, he gets in the elevator to leave. Okay, I guess the divorce proceedings are done. He signed, she signed, and he is crying in the elevator. He's crying like a little fucking bitch. And then he looks up and he sees Liz and her lawyer about to get in the same elevator with him, and he just stops, hits the button, is like, and the door closes. So Liz just it just now hit her that her marriage is over. Okay, well, obviously not. I think what hit her is that she gave him everything. I said, oh my God, what the fuck did I do? I think that's what hit her. Because how the fuck is she going to fund her endless summer around the world fucking and eating? How's she going to pay for that if she just gave her ex-husband everything? Exactly. But she did do the right thing, so I give her props for that. Okay, so now we're back to the dinner party, and this is at the dinner party with, like I said, Delia and Andy, her limp dick beta male bald fat husband, David and Liz. Well, they're all sitting there talking about the divorce proceeding. That's when we find out that David is 28 years old. Okay, like I said, in real life he's 31. Okay, we also find out that David is a vegan, so obviously he's a libtard. Okay, he's a Hindu. He worships Brahma. Okay, he's a vegan. Okay, and he's an actor. So clearly he's a libtard. Okay, no shit. Okay, and he's actually more upset. David's more upset about Liz's divorce than Liz is. Okay, I think he's afraid that she's gonna treat him the way she treated her ex-husband. Okay, like she's just gonna leave him out of the blue now that he's in love with her. You see what I mean? Because of course he's in love with her, because she's 43 and he's 28. Anyway, so that's going on here. No, he's upset that she's gonna quit being his sugar mama. That's what. Okay. Anyway, so like I said, he's more upset about Liz's divorce than Liz is. Meditation helps Liz not feel guilty, so she tells Delia that she's been meditating, doing the whole fucking Hindu thing to try to make herself not feel guilty. All right. Delia tells Liz that being with David is just her trying to cope with her divorce. So she points that out. Like, you're only with this guy so that it doesn't hurt as much that your marriage broke up, that you blew apart your marriage. That's the only reason you're with him, so you don't have to feel that bad about it. Almost like you're giving yourself an excuse to end the marriage. Okay. She says she's throwing herself into David so as not to deal with being alone. Yes, that's another thing, and she even points that out in the movie later on, or earlier. She said, "Oh no." Later on, she'll say like, "Hey, I have never, since I was 15, I've either been in a relationship or I've been breaking up with a guy." Okay, but ever since I was 15. Okay, so she's never been alone. Okay, hence that's why David was there. That's why she sought out David. That's why she got with David, so she wouldn't have to be alone during the divorce, which is a good thing. I tell guys, you need to do that. Okay, once your relationship ends, you need to have had a backup woman on speed dial the entire time. Okay, you have to do that. Okay, because you never know when your primary relationship is going to leave you or leave you for another guy, and then what's going to happen. Okay, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone. Okay. And I say that, okay? I'm not saying you should cheat on your partner, okay? But if it turns out your partner was cheating on you, you need to have someone to ease the pain, okay? To nurse your broken heart, so to speak, okay? I tell that to every guy, okay? And luckily now in 2026, guys are actually starting to do that. They're actually starting to realize that, okay? And who did they learn it from? Women. That's where I learned it from. That's where I learned it from, okay? Good enough for you is good enough for me too, all right? So there's that. All right, so that's going on here, okay? Like I said, Delia calls her out on her relationship with David, okay? She's using Elizabeth using David as a painkiller, okay, for fucking up her marriage, okay? And I agree with that, okay? Andy laughs and tells Liz that she used to look like Steven. Okay, like when they're leaving, he tells her, what's so funny right now is seeing you, David, you and Liz together, Liz and David together, seeing both of you together. You used to look like Steven, but now I'm looking at you and David and like, you're starting to look like David now. And of course, Liz like, and David's like, and Delia's like, "You freaking idiot, why the fuck would you say that, you dumbass, limp dick, fat, bald beta male?" Yeah, she basically, she says that with her eyes. Because her husband's a dumb fuck, all right? Okay, of course, like all men are. Okay, even David is a dumb fuck. He's getting all emotional over Liz's divorce. Okay? Because he's so scared that she's going to hurt him too. You see what I mean? There's no men in this movie. Okay? So that's going on, all right? And of course, none of them get it. It just pisses them all off. Okay? Liz has no identity without a man. Okay? Oh no. She can't comprehend that you can be yourself and be in a relationship. Okay, so for Liz, being in a relationship means giving up her own identity, not being able to be her true self. That's what a relationship means to Liz. She can't be herself and in a relationship, okay? If she's in a relationship, she has to be what she thinks her partner wants. That all that does is build up resentment, makes her start hating him more, which makes it easier for her to leave him later on. Okay? Not admitting that she's her own problem. For some stupid reason, she doesn't want to be herself in front of a man in a relationship. She doesn't want to be her true self. She wants to be what she thinks he wants. Okay? Well, that sounds like a you problem, Liz, not a he problem. Okay? But that's how this movie frames relationships for Liz. Okay? Relationships to her means surrendering herself to someone else, to a man. Okay? Now, according to Liz, men are supposed to surrender themselves to women, but women do not surrender themselves to no man. You see what I mean? Okay? That's why. And there's a really good book I have that I read. You should read it too. It's called The Erotic Silence of the American Housewife. It's written by a former writer or editor of Cosmopolitan. Her name was Dalma Hain. You can look it up. Dalma Hain. She wrote this book called The Erotic Silence of the American Housewife. Okay, it's basically a nonfiction book where she interviewed a whole bunch of women, mostly white, upper class New York women. Okay, because that she's only going to interview people she knows, right, or hangs out with. Okay, about I mean, all these women have one thing in common: they all cheated on their husbands, and they are all not sorry about it. Okay, and I've read that book several times, and it taught me a lot about women, a lot. Okay, anyway, how they make up excuses for their failed relationships. Okay, anyway, one thing I did take from the book though is that the reason women cheat in their marriages and their relationships are the exact same reasons men cheat. All right. So David is pissed off about this. Like I said, David says, like, don't you even want to give me a chance to miss you? Okay, because like he's afraid that this is what I took from the movie. He's afraid that Liz is going to do to him eventually what she did to Steven, just leave him out of the blue. And so in bed together, he doesn't like look at her or kiss her. He just turns around and goes like, he says, don't you even want to give me a chance to miss you? Or something like that, right? Anyway, next scene, Liz is now living with David. We find that out. Okay, we get a montage of David and Liz together again, but it's not a happy-go-lucky one, an optimistic one, a lovey-dovey one like we saw earlier, back when she was still married to Steven. Okay, the relationship is clearly falling apart. Okay, they don't like each other anymore. How unusual. Okay, and Liz gives a monologue. All right, this is the monologue I talked about earlier in this video. Okay, she says, men give you an emotional speedball of thunderous love and excitement. Okay, and you get addicted to it, just like a junkie. When withered, you turn sick, crazy, and resentful of the dealer who got you addicted and won't give it to you anymore. Okay, so it said when withheld, not withered, sorry. When withheld, the love and excitement, you turn sick, crazy, and resentful of the dealer who got you addicted in the first place, and now he won't give it to you anymore. So you see, it's always the man's fault. Lesson 1 from this. Men fall in love faster than women, so they are always forced to be careful with their feelings. That's what she's trying to tell you, okay? Men fall in love faster than women, so they're forced to be careful with their feelings, okay? Bullshit. Bull fucking shit, okay? Beta males fall in love faster than women do, okay? Men that have no sense of identity, no sense of self-worth are going to seek it in someone else, okay? And if they think they found it, that's going to be their validation, so they're going to want to protect it. They're going to want to love it because they think that if they love the source of their validation, that person's not going to leave them, okay? Hence, that's their self-worth, okay? If the woman leaves him, now he doesn't like who he is anymore. Okay, so his self-esteem, his self-love is dependent on someone else. That's a beta male. That's a simp. All right? And that's the only kind that Liz knows. Those are the only kind of men that Liz knows. Those are the only kind of men that Liz dates. Okay? Because those are the only kind of men that will never reject her. See what I mean? There's one thing we know about Liz Gilbert from in real life is she does not like being rejected. She wrote an article about it. She does not like having her feelings trampled on by a man. She does not like having her heart broken by a man. She does not like being dumped by a man. Okay? She doesn't like that. So she's forced to date men that she can dump. You see what I mean? Now we're getting somewhere. The movie ain't going to tell you this. I'm telling you this. Straight man's point of view. All right? Okay, like I said, beta males, those are the only kind of men that Liz knows, okay? The ones that she can dominate. The ones that she can kick around, push around, disrespect, emasculate, criticize. Those are the only men she'll date, okay? Because those are the men that can't hurt her, okay? And then she gets mad. She blames him for him not being what she wants. Go figure, okay? He's exactly what you want, you dumb bitch. That's the problem. What you want is stupid. Okay, lesson number 2 from this is it's always a man's fault for not living up to her fantasies about him. Okay? So that means that during the initial attraction phase, when she got the butterflies on, she will put this guy on a high horse, on a white horse. She will do that. Okay, to justify her feelings for this guy, to justify her attraction. Okay? And then later on, she's mad that he didn't live up to those standards that she set for him. Okay? You think I'm kidding, but this is actually true. And you know it's true, ladies. You know it's true. Okay? So it's his fault for not living up to her fantasy. Okay. Well, Liz, he's younger than you, but you're pissed that he's emotionally immature, okay? So why the fuck are you dating a 28-year-old if you're pissed off that he's emotionally immature? I can understand Steven, okay? Because Steven, I'm guessing, is 43, 44, your age, and he's emotionally immature, just like Andy is, okay? And just like David is. But David's got an excuse. He's 28 years old, okay? What the fuck? And you're mad at him for not being emotionally mature. Now, granted, I think at 28, I wasn't completely as emotionally mature as I am now, okay? But I think I had a pretty good sense of self-worth at 28, okay? In a way that David doesn't, okay? So like I said, there are no real men, not even David. Not even the rebound guy is realistic in this movie, okay? So yeah, so of course, Liz is a hypocrite. She's pissed off that David didn't live up to her expectations, okay? So they get into an argument, okay, about him not wanting to fuck all the time and not talking about it, like while they're making the bed and stuff, you know? And, you know, and of course, you know, goddamn men, you know, they used to get, you know, during her speech, she says, she's like, goddamn men, they used to give you the emotional speedball for free. Now you're shaking, skinny, and suffering withdrawal, willing to do anything just to have that one thing one more time. But now he's repulsed by you. So basically, she was giving a speech to a bunch of fucking women and gay guys about how men are screwed up, you know, because they put women through an emotional roller coaster. No, you put them through the emotional roller coaster, you dumb bitch. You don't even realize what you're saying, okay? He looks at you like a stranger, okay? Yes, that's what Liz says, okay? It's his fault for looking at her like a freaking stranger. Okay, I'm going to stop my review right here, but I'll be back to continue my review. Before I forget, here, that right there, Diego Knows and Knows Diego. Okay, that's my X account. This video will be on X as well. And Diego de la Vega Knows, that right there, that is my Rumble, okay? Because these videos go on Rumble as well, because you know how Google is, okay? Woke as hell, okay? So anyway, I thank you very much for watching this long, and I'll see you soon on the next video. Bye.